Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever I find you, as we wait for somebody to jump on the live and tell me in the chat that they can see and hear me. Take a moment, if you're listening to the replay, to feel your feet on the ground or your bum on the seat, to connect with your immediate surroundings, because that will always help you learn better, whether it's something from me here on YouTube or it's anything else that you're trying to actively pay attention to. Thanks, buddy, for letting me know that it's all good. I appreciate you. So today I am answering a question from a projector who asked here in the YouTube comments about how do I use my projector gifts in retirement? Like, I really want to do something meaningful with these days that I have in retirement. So what I want to let you know first up is that if this video has been forwarded to you, once it goes as a replay, if somebody has forwarded it to you and you actually prefer reading than listening, I actually wrote out the answer to this as an article on Medium. So I'm going to link that in the video description here. And that should be available, I think, right now, but definitely in the replay. And I'm actually going to use that format, and not that you can see because the screen's very white, but I'm actually going to use that format to guide today's live. So if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Carolyn Southwell. I help you to know yourself through human design, to love who you are so you can become the person you were born to be. And let's talk about being a projector in retirement. It's going to be very specifically useful for you if you are a projector who is entering or already in retirement and you're fairly new to human design, or you are somebody who is trying to support a projector who is in that stage of their life and you're another human design type. So assuming that you know a little bit about projectors already, if you don't, I'll make sure that after I edit this replay that I put a playlist for projectors up here that starts with the very useful what is a projector, and it sort of guides you through some things there. But I have 5 points in this Medium article that I'm actually going to cover with you here on this live. So the first one that's going to help you if you're a projector in retirement is to get as clear as possible about what you'd like to do with your time. Now, that might seem really obvious. And some people are really connected to what they'd love to do, and other people have no clue. Now, sometimes this can be a function of your specific human design chart. It is, as a general rule, from a design perspective, easier to know what we want if you're in the 35%-ish that have a defined will center, sometimes known as the heart center or the ego center. It is the tiny little triangle that is just off to the center. It's the smallest triangle on the chart. So just look down near the middle and off to the right, and that's the center that I'm talking about. So if it's colored in red, you may have a better chance of knowing what you want. And you might, and if that's the case, then you're going to be like, duh, next, woman. Like, I've got that one dialed in, right? I know what I want to do. I just don't know how to do it as a projector. But it's worth hovering over this point for a moment, because there are 2 other situations where you might not be clear on what you want. And I want you to know you're not broken. But there's some things you need to know. If you are like the 65% of the population-ish, there's no perfect stats, but these are the ones that most people work off, that, like me, have that center undefined or white, then we can get lost in what everyone else wants by design. We're designed to be able to feel what everyone else wants. That's part of the magic of how we're designed. But it can make it really tricky to get clear on what do you individually want, right? So it might take some digging, it might take some journaling, it might take some conversations with people who are good listeners, it might take some coaching with somebody asking you questions so that you can get really clear. But one of the things about retirement is that for the first time, as long as you've got your finances set up, you might be able to ask yourself, well, I'm not working for money, so now that I get to do whatever the heck I want to do, what do I really want to do? And there can be this real permission giving quality to this stage of your life where you're like, oh man, now I get to do what I've wanted to do my whole life, and it can come to the fore. Now, the other thing that can happen, and this can happen regardless of whether your will center is defined or undefined, is that if you had experiences in childhood, and hi, if you're here live, feel free to jump in the comments if it's helpful for you. If you had experiences in childhood where your wants were shut down, they were dismissed, they were ridiculed, you were never asked for what you want. Anytime you talked about what you want, you had a parent who, you know, either callously or just because they were desperately trying to survive, would say, you can't have that. Then your nervous system has learned that you can't have what you want. And so, because it is so painful to have these desires emerge of these things that we want to do, and then have this belief that says, I can't have what I want, we get really, really good at suppressing it. So, if you don't know what you want to do in retirement, you're not broken. Just take a little bit of time for it to bubble to the surface and get curious. And if you really don't know, just like start some experiments. Just go, let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. The other thing you can do is you can ask, and I'll move on to point 2 soon because otherwise we'll be here for an hour. But the other thing you can do is just ask the people who know you really well and ask them, hey, what have you noticed that I do that makes me really happy? When have you seen me my happiest? What was I doing then, right? It's not necessarily so much about what you're good at, because actually, if you want to do something meaningful in retirement, and whether you are, somebody who manages to build a massive company and you retire at 30, or you're retiring at a more traditional age of 60 or 65 or 70 or even 75, it doesn't matter. The point is that if you want to do something meaningful, it has to be what makes you happy. Now, if you totally rubbish at that skill, then it's a little more uncomfortable. But if you really enjoy it, then you'll have more resiliency when it comes to being messy and human and not very good at something. And if you do it long enough and you really enjoy it, you'll get better at it anyway. Okay, so let's move on to point number 2. Let's have a look here. So when people ask you what you're up to, let them know what you'd love to do. Okay, so assuming that you do know at this point what you would love to do with this spare time you have, and whether it's retirement or it's just spare pockets of time that you have as a 20, 30, 40, 50 something year old projector, you have to tell people what you would love to do. If you want to have an opportunity for you to share your projector gifts, then you need to tell people somewhere along the way. Now, the best people to tell you that are more likely to listen and more likely to support and empower and open doors for you to do that thing as a projector are going to be the people who already love you, value you, recognize you, appreciate you, adore you. Right? Any of those versions of frequency, right? So think about who are the family who love you, who are always happy to listen to you share about your updates. Who are your friends who likewise, will actively share about their life, but then just as equally want to know about yours? You have to tell them, hey, with my spare time, I've been really meaning to try out blah. Or I'd really like to spend some more time developing my skills in this area, right? Tell them. Now, golden rule as a projector: when you are sharing things with your people, don't tell them in order to get an invitation. It almost will never work. What does work, and I have seen time and time again, because I am a 2-4 emotional projector, so I have been playing with my projector strategy and my gifts and my things that I want to share for a long time now. And I can tell you through lots of experience that what works really well is when I share with my people, and when I say like my people, my personal crew of people, family, friends, people who really love my work but aren't working with me in a paid capacity, right? When I share with them just what I'd love to do, my updates, what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling, with no attachment, I'm just sharing because they want to hear what I'm up to. If a door is supposed to open, if there is supposed to be an invitation, it will open organically. not because I was trying to get an invitation, not because I was fishing. Actually, I did a really important video on this. I'll link it up here after the replay. And in the meantime, if you want to dig for it, just look on my channel. If you're on my YouTube channel, in the top right-hand corner, sort of down one banner, you go down underneath the banner and there'll be a tiny little search bar. And if you ever want to search for anything on my channel, just go to that search bar and just type in the keywords that you're looking for. So if you type fish invitations or fish invites, you should find the specific video that I'm going to link up here. Because when we try and fish for invitations, it doesn't work. Like, that's not how this game is supposed to happen. This is about us recognizing that we have all of this genius to share. We have all our unique gifts and skills and talents and strengths, and it is about surrendering and truly resting into waiting to see, to enjoy seeing who fishes us out of the ocean, who chooses us, not from a place of powerlessness, but from a place of delicious, like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, let me see what happens here. Okay. All right. So that was point number 2. Let's go on to point number 3, which is train your attention to focus solely on direct invitations. Okay. So if you are fairly new to human design, you may, or even in the first, and I say fairly new, it could be the first couple of years of playing with it, unless you've been like hell-bent on diving very deeply down this rabbit hole. There is a lot of confusion around what an invitation really looks like, sounds like, feels like, means. I have a lot of content on this channel because it is so misunderstood. But the key thing that I want to point to in this dot point number 3 about training your focus directly, like solely on direct invitations, is that people can fall into the trap of thinking that if I, as a projector, get an invitation, if I'm in a group and somebody invites, oh, you're in this group, therefore you're invited. If they didn't handpick you, if they didn't say, let's say your name is Susan, if they didn't say, Susan, would you like to come to such and such? If they didn't handpick you, name you, point to you, put their arm around you in the circle and go, hey, are you coming? If they didn't zero in on you directly and solely, it's not an invitation. And again, you're not a victim. This human design strategy is not designed to limit you. Without trying to sound cliche, it is truly designed to liberate you, because it means you don't waste your precious time and energy and gifts trying to like show up in spaces where people don't get you, they don't recognize you, they don't value you, frankly, they don't want you there. But like maybe I've been in lots of group situations, especially with my running circles, and I'm very particular to notice, was that invitation for the whole group, or did somebody invite me specifically? And years ago, I used to have to do this practice very deliberately. I had to like really pay attention. Now it's damn obvious. If somebody doesn't go, hey, Carolyn, are you coming? Or somebody like grab my hand or put an arm around my shoulder or like message me directly, then I know there was no invitation. Okay. And the reason I say train your attention on this is you're starting to teach yourself to look for what a true invitation really looks like. And if we come back to this question, of course, this applies to everything in the projector process, no matter what stage of life you're in. But if we bring it back to this idea of retirement or using spare time that you might have as a projector to use that time in a way that feels meaningful, for you to be able to gain those opportunities, they're going to come through direct invitations, because that's how the game works for us as projectors. Okay, let's go to point number 4. So, consider taking up a hobby that includes other people. Okay, sometimes you will discover, as you listen to content of mine, that I might sound like I'm contradicting myself. There's 2 reasons for this. One, sometimes I'm teaching content at various levels of people's understandings and where they are in their human design journey. So if it ever sounds like I'm contradicting myself, just See how you can make peace with that. Like, oh, she's contradicting herself. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what that's about. And if there seems like there's two things that run counter to each other, then just work with whichever one makes sense to you now, because the other one might make sense to you later, or it might have been something that you needed earlier in your journey and you've already graduated past that. Okay. Now, I did say two reasons. What was the other reason? Taking up a hobby. Okay. So the other reason is that I can teach you textbook theory of how human design works all day long. And for many of you, you will learn far more by going out into the world and trying things and doing it wrong, because there is nothing more instructive than pain. And I don't want it to be painful, but my experience has been that when I have tried to do something and I was like, I think I'm initiating, or I think I'm responding. I don't think I've waited for an invitation, but I want to do it anyway. Let's see what happens. When I have done that and I've gone in with eyes wide open and ears wide open, really willing to pay attention in the experiment, I have learned so much more than in the many lectures and the many textbooks and the theory, in all the ways that I've consumed theory. I would suggest that for some people, it's like 20% theory, 80% go out there and fucking try, right? Go and try. Go and be willing to take the theory and your current understanding of it and go try a thing. So what I've said here, and this is these next 2 points both needed that preamble. I think that's the word. They needed the preamble to say, if I sound like I'm contradicting myself, I probably am, and it's okay. Here's how you're going to roll with it. So consider taking up a hobby that includes other people. If you just decide, oh, hey, I'm going to go and take up a painting class, but you haven't got an invitation, you would therefore be either responding to an ad you see somewhere for a painting class, or you would be initiating on your ideas, both of which are not correct for a projector, right? So why am I saying to do it? I'm saying to do it because if you go and allow yourself to experiment by playing with something, let's say it's painting, that you've always wanted to do, you're going to learn something important. You're going to learn more about how to interact with people and how to enter into relationships correctly, even if the way you've learned it is by doing it the wrong way. I cannot emphasize how much experimenting matters and being willing to do things the wrong way, but with your eyes and ears wide open, please. Don't go in blind. Don't go in breaking the rules and thinking I can just ignore human design, because it's you're going to miss a precious opportunity to do this really well. But if you go and take up a class, a hobby, if we say a painting class, then you're going to tickle this itch about like, oh, I've always wanted to do painting. How much do I actually enjoy it? Right. And then you get an opportunity to do that. And then you might be like, oh, well, that's nice. I've done it once now, but that wasn't it. And so you don't waste too much time thinking, oh, I have to wait for the perfect invitation to go to the class, and I have to make sure that it's the right thing. No, you figured it out. Okay, great. That wasn't it. That's not actually going to be meaningful to me. Next, let me try the next thing. So being willing to play with different ways that you could engage with the material or the subject, the topic that you're interested in, the activity. That's what I think the word I'm looking for, activity. Being able to focus in on the activity and then seeing what happens with relationships with different people. Okay. And if you can share with your people, if we go back to the last point, or 2 points ago, if you can share with your people that you'd love to go to a painting class and you just are sharing organically without fishing for invitations, and somebody says, oh, you know what, I'm going to a painting class next Friday, do you want to come? Done. You've got an invite. And then you're probably going to have far more meaningful relationships with the people in the room because you entered that correctly. Okay, I hope that all makes sense. Let's do point number 5. So consider getting some training in the field or the role you'd like to help others with. So let's say you your career was in teaching as a projector, maybe you were a school teacher, and you've had a sense that, like, I really like teaching, but I'd like to teach some new content that I couldn't teach kids at school. Or I have this, like if we stick with that idea of painting, oh, I love painting and I'd like to get even better at it. And then I'd love to just, oh, maybe I could go into art therapy. Like maybe I could be bringing together my teaching skills and my capacity for being with groups of people, and maybe I could bridge a couple of those things together. But you're like, whoa, I need some training if I'm going to be an art therapist. Like that's not something you just like walk into. It's not like saying, hey, I've been painting for 20 years and I'm going to teach you how to paint, right? So there's a bridge that you have to cross to do that. And so maybe you go, okay, great, I want to get some training as an art therapist. What does that look like in my country, in my location, with whatever the regulations and rules are around that? Now, in order to choose somebody, you're going to pick a school, a teacher who you really recognize and value. And by trying to enter that opportunity correctly for you as a projector, recognizing and valuing the person that you're going to learn from, that's really important because recognition goes both ways. But also for you to, if you can, share with your people, notice who opens doors, see if you can enter correctly the right class with the right person, the right like through following strategy, then there is a much better chance of that leading to the outcome that you would like. Now, if you have made your way the whole way through this live or this replay and you know you would like to better understand the human design projector strategy, my suggestion for a next step is a video course that I did a few years ago. I have linked it in the video description. I have a new page on the website now that lists out all of the courses, and there's one on the projector strategy of waiting for the invitation and what is this invitation? How do we do it? And once the replay is done here, I will put some more videos on screen here that will be helpful. Bye for now.